Disturbed versus Nonpoint. I was trying to figure out what my 10th favorite band of all time was. For a long time I had considered that band to be Disturbed, but then I discovered a somewhat similar band called Nonpoint. In 2016, Nonpoint's new release, The Red Poison, absolutely kicked the ass of Disturbed's latest effort, Immortalized. On Immortalized, there are some rhythms that feel like they were thrown together hastily and they just don't work. They're just not that moving. Like the song Tyrant. But that's always been a thing with Disturbed on some songs. Even on their very first album, which was excellent overall, they had some songs like Conflict and Violent Fetish. But the thing that really hurts Immortalized isn't the occasional sloppy rhythm, it's the cheesy sounding melodies in almost every single chorus in just about every song. It sounds almost like power metal. Yuck! I mean, David Draymond is not trying to shatter windows with vocal high notes. It's not that bad, but it's bad enough. Listening to Immortalized, I'd be nodding my head to the verse riff saying, this is decent, and the chorus would come along and I'd just stop and wince, saying to myself, wow, that is really off-putting. Why would you do that? Artistic choice, I guess. It also seems to get worse in the second half of the album. The only songs that I kind of like are The Vengeful One and Light It Up, and even those aren't great, they're just decent. Nonpoint's latest, The Red Poison, on the other hand, is probably tied with their first album, Statement, for the best thing this band has ever released. 8 out of 12 songs are excellent, and the others are fairly good. There's nothing cringeworthy for sure. The booming, reverberating rhythms are invigorating, and the melodies are mostly hearty and sly rather than cheesy. It also contains Chasing White Rabbits, the second best song of 2016 in my opinion, and their best song to date, narrowly edging out the song What a Day from their first album. So, should I make Nonpoint my 10th favorite band of all time, pushing Disturbed back to number 11? Not so fast. I have to look at the entire discography of each band, not just the latest albums. Disturbed has some really awesome songs. I put 4 of them on my top 10 100 metal songs of all time list, and I'm not sure I could do the same for Nonpoint, maybe 2. Disturbed started strong with The Sickness. 8 out of 12 of those songs are still on my favorites playlist after 16 years. Then Believe was quite a disappointment with sloppy rhythms and a title track that seemed to drag on forever in spite of being only 4.5 minutes long. David Draymond used a horribly overdramatic sobby voice on half the songs, and I only liked 3 out of 12. But then 10,000 Fists was a huge comeback with 7 amazing songs that made me forget about the 5 clunkers on the album that I found when listening to the album in its entirety for this review. However, the band bungled again with Invincible, 4 songs out of 12. Then they got slightly better with Asylum, 5 good songs out of 12. Then Lost Children came around with 7 really cool songs, but 9 more songs that ranged from forgettable to terrible. And then, oh no, we talked about that already. Let's move on. Nonpoint. Much like Disturbed, they had a really strong first album with 8 out of 12 great songs, and a somewhat slower decline than Disturbed. Development, their second album, had 5 really great songs, and 9 that are just okay. Recoil, 4 really great songs, and 10 more that ranged from pretty good to very forgettable. Then To the Pain came along, with 6 great songs, but 8 forgettable clunkers. After that there was Vengeance, a decent album with 3 great songs on it. In 2010 they released 2 albums, Miracle with 6 very good songs, and 7 that were okay. A self-titled album with 7 great songs, and 5 mediocre ones. Then there was The Return, with 7 great songs and 6 more that were either too frantic and repetitive or just kind of boring. Finally, The Red Poison from 2016, and we already talked about how great that one was. So Nonpoint does have more albums that are worth buying as opposed to having to pick through and find the ones that you want to pay to download. But hold on, I feel like Disturbed's best songs might be better than Nonpoint's best songs. So I listened to them very carefully and ranked them against each other. Let's go to the hard rock songs first, and I'll get to the metal songs in a minute. So these are the top 25 hard rock songs from Disturbed and Nonpoint that I came up with after carefully comparing them. Now, Nonpoint does have more overall songs, but Disturbed has the top 2 and pretty much dominates the top 12. So how do I figure this out? I figured out a scoring system. I'm going to give 1 point to Disturbed for number 25, then 2 points for the second song in the ranking, and then 3 points for the next song, all going to Nonpoint. And I'll go all the way up to the top song, so the number 1 song will be worth 25 points, the number 2 song will be worth 24 points going to Disturbed, and then Nonpoint will get 23 points for Razors, and so on. Now, I came up with this scoring system after I already made the list, so I really didn't know who was going to win. Even though with this one it looks more obvious, Nonpoint actually won with 177 points to Disturbed 148 points, but on the metal it's going to be a lot closer. Now these are my top 30 recommended metal songs from Disturbed and Nonpoint. Now, Nonpoint still has more songs, but Disturbed not only has the top 2, but has almost the whole top 10. Nonpoint only has 3 songs in the top 10. So again, same thing, 1 point for development going to Nonpoint, 2 points for Misled, 3 points for Sicken going for Disturbed, all the way up to number 1, which will be 30 points for Disturbed, number 2 will be 29 points from Disturbed, and number 3 will be 28 points for Nonpoint, and I'll go down like that. So this was a lot closer. It was actually 200 to 191 in favor of Nonpoint. So it just would have taken one song in the middle somewhere to be a Disturbed song instead of a Nonpoint song, and they would have won. And in fact, if it wasn't for their last album, Chasing White Rabbits would not be on there, and they would have lost by a lot of points. So very close, but still Nonpoint edging it out in terms of metal songs with 200 points to 191. Also, I feel like Elias Serrano's voice is just more powerful than David Draymond's. I like him slightly better as a singer. And live, it's not even close. On the album, it's close, but live, I think even if you're a huge David Draymond fan, if you go to YouTube and you look up live performances by Disturbed and look up some live performances by Nonpoint, I don't think anyone will be able to deny that Elias Serrano's voice is better live. Of course, this is all just based on my opinion, and your list of top songs might be very different from what mine was. But I am going to have to name Nonpoint as my 10th favorite band of all time and push Disturbed back to number 11. They're still very good, but I have to push them back to number 11. So if you don't know those songs from Disturbed and Nonpoint that I ranked against each other, check them out, and I hope you enjoy.